Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I grew up on a stretch of lonely land just outside Gallup, New Mexico. Nothing around us but dirt roads, mesas, and cattle. It was the kind of place where stars bled across the sky at night, where coyotes howled like the earth itself was grieving. My older brother Jesse was the only person I truly trusted. He was the golden boy, the protector, the one who always knew what to say when things went wrong. We were thick as blood. He used to tell me, "No matter what happens, I'll always be right there with you." Then he was gone. It was 5 years ago, a night colder than usual. Jesse saddled up around dusk to check on the cattle. Something had spooked them. He said he saw lights moving in the north pasture, and the dogs wouldn't stop barking. He never came back. The horse returned near midnight, lathered in sweat, eyes white with fear, breathing like it had run through hell. But Jesse, nothing. No boot prints, no hat, no body, just silence and that damn horse trembling in the corral. We searched for days, me, my dad, even old men from the neighboring ranch's dogs, ATVs, helicopters, but nothing turned up. He had vanished like the wind took him. The hardest part wasn't losing him. It was not knowing what had happened. Time went on. We buried an empty coffin. Mom passed 2 years later. Dad drank himself half to death and finally sold the ranch. I stayed behind. Someone had to. And maybe a part of me hoped Jesse would come back. Last winter, around mid-January, the wind began to howl again. That bone-cutting kind that makes the house groan and your teeth ache. I was out fixing a busted fence along the northern line, the same stretch Jesse had gone toward the night he disappeared. I had my rifle slung over my shoulder, a thermos of coffee in my coat pocket. The cattle were uneasy, bunched up near the trees, their eyes tracking something I couldn't see. That's when I felt it. The quiet changed. Not the kind of quiet you appreciate. This was wrong quiet. No birds, no wind, just stillness that felt watched. I turned. There was a figure standing in the tree line. For a second, my brain didn't process what I was seeing. Then it hit me like a hammer. Jesse, or it looked like him. He stepped out from between two twisted juniper trees like he'd been waiting there the whole time. Same jeans. Same old denim jacket with the tear in the sleeve. Same tan Stetson, sitting low on his brow. I even saw the scar above his left eye, the one he got when we were kids, and he fell off Dad's rusted-out tractor. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. My knees buckled, and the rifle nearly slipped from my fingers. "Hey, little brother," he said, smiling. "You've grown." But that voice, God, that voice wasn't his. It was close, yes. Too close. But it had this echo to it, like someone dragging a dead deer behind them. Thick, wet, off. I didn't move. Couldn't. He kept walking closer, boots not making a single sound on the frozen ground. "You're still fixing fences, huh?" he said, that crooked grin spreading too wide. "Mom made your favorite tonight. You should come home." I nearly vomited, because Mom had been dead 2 years. We buried her next to Jesse's empty grave. The thing wearing Jesse's face stopped about 10 feet from me. Up close, I could see its eyes. They weren't human. Too black, too deep, like staring into a dry well. Like if I looked too long, I'd fall in and never find my way out. It tilted its head slowly, like a puppet learning to move, and said again, quieter this time, "You should have come with me that night." My heart nearly burst through my chest. Every instinct screamed to run, but my legs were frozen. I waited, it said, voice dropping into a low gurgle. "I called you. You didn't come. So now I'm here." The skin on its face twitched, like it didn't fit right, like something was wearing it wrong. That finally did it. I turned and ran like the devil himself was on my heels. I didn't stop. I didn't turn back. I dropped the rifle somewhere along the way and didn't care. My lungs burned. My vision blurred. I made it back to the ranch house and locked every door, every window. I turned all the lights on and waited until sunrise, staring at the front door with Dad's old shotgun in my lap. I didn't sleep. I didn't blink. The next morning, I called my uncle. He's a quiet man, Navajo, old school, believes in things the world likes to pretend don't exist. I told him everything, my voice shaking like a child's. When I got to the part about "Mom made your favorite," he went silent for a long time. Then he said, real soft, "That wasn't Jesse." I asked him what the hell it was. He said only one word: Skinwalker. He came the next day and blessed the land. Burned cedar, drew symbols in ash and salt. I stayed inside. I haven't gone near the northern line since, but I still see him sometimes, standing just beyond the trees, smiling, waiting, and every time the wind howls, I swear I hear his voice calling through the dark. "Come home, little brother." But I know better now. That thing in the trees may wear my brother's face. But whatever came back that night isn't Jesse. Story 2. I was 21 when it happened. Fresh out of my third year of college, half-cocked with ambition and running low on sleep, I landed a summer internship at a small reservation radio station in northern Arizona. It wasn't glamorous work. Mostly I ran the late-night shifts while the real host slept, midnight to 5 a.m. It paid pennies, but I liked it. Quiet, peaceful. I had the whole place to myself, and there was something comforting about the low hum of old equipment and the hiss of dead air between tracks. The station was located just off the highway, built decades ago, half swallowed by juniper and dry brush. It sat on the edge of tribal land, isolated and forgotten except for a few stubborn employees who kept it barely alive. By mid-July, I had my routine. I'd show up at 11:30, microwave a burrito, cue up some old country and rock tracks, and sip gas station coffee while scribbling notes for school projects I'd probably never finish. Then came that night. It started like every other. Nothing special. No storms. No weird interference. Just the usual static and shadows. I was halfway through a Reba McEntire set list when the phone rang. The landline, not my cell. That was odd. We had a rule. Nobody used the landline unless it was an emergency. Most people just texted me if they needed something. So I picked it up with a curious KWRZ. Midnight air, you've got Nate. Silence. Then a whisper. Don't look out the window. Click. No other sound. The kind of silence that doesn't just fill a room. It stretches it, like something invisible pulling at the edges. I froze. My hand still clutched the receiver. My heart did that slow, heavy thud in my chest, like it was deciding whether to beat or stop altogether. It wasn't a prank. I knew that instantly. The voice was too calm, too intentional. It wasn't rushed or laughable or full of the smug humor that comes with someone trying to screw with you. No, this was different. I should have listened. I should have just stared at the wall, kept my eyes on the glowing console, turned up the music, and pretended it didn't happen. But I turned, just my head at first. Then my chair creaked as I swiveled it slowly toward the large studio window that looked out into the parking lot. And it was there, crouched low, just beyond the glass. It looked human, almost. Its skin was pale, not the natural kind of pale, but the raw, almost waxy shade you see on something that's been in the ground too long. Tight across the bones, like it had been stretched to fit. Its eyes were wide, no whites, just murky gray, orbs that caught the light and reflected it back. Its mouth, well, there wasn't one. Not really. No lips. Just a jagged line of yellowed teeth, exposed and unmoving. It tapped once on the glass with a long, dirty finger. Then again. Then it stood. And somehow, impossibly, its body unfolded into something too tall for its frame. Its head tilted slowly, too slowly, as it stared at me through the window. And in a voice that sounded exactly like mine, pitch perfect, tone accurate, down to the slight rasp from my chain-smoking uncle's influence, it said, "Let me in. I forgot my key." I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Every part of me screamed to run, to hide, to throw the whole console through the wall and escape. But my limbs weren't responding. I forced myself to stand and reach for the door. Not to open it, to bolt it. I turned the old steel lock and slid the deadbolt into place. The lights flickered. Then everything went dark. The monitors, the console, the emergency exit signs. Even my phone screen went black like the battery had been drained. The silence was instant and complete. No humming equipment, no fans, no soft click of the analog clock above the door. Just silence. Until, knock, soft, measured, right against the glass. Then that voice again. My voice. "It's cold out here. Let me back in." I backed away, blindly feeling my way across the room, heart hammering against my ribs. I knew where the emergency flashlight was, taped under the desk. I dropped to my knees and fumbled around until my fingers hit plastic. Click. The light flickered to life. Weak. Yellow. But enough to see. The window was empty now. But that was somehow worse, because it meant the thing had moved. The knock came again, but this time it wasn't at the window. It came from the back door, then the side door, then the ceiling. I don't know how long I sat there. I curled up under the console like a child, flashlight in my lap, radio dead, power gone. I prayed, something I hadn't done in years. The knocking stopped around 4:30. The lights flickered back on at dawn like nothing had happened. The music resumed playing, skipping to a Johnny Cash track. My phone rebooted. I thought maybe it was a dream, stress, exhaustion. But when the morning staff came in and I told them what happened, one of the older engineers, Bill, went pale. Didn't say a word. He just walked over to the security terminal and pulled up the footage from 2 a.m. Except there was nothing there. Not missing footage. Not a glitch. Just a blank screen. Like someone or something had erased it. I never worked another night shift after that. Transferred out early. Moved back home. I don't talk about it much. People roll their eyes. They think it's a ghost story, a lonely intern's hallucination. But I know what I saw. And even now, years later, whenever I hear a knock late at night, I go still. I listen. Because sometimes, if the room's quiet enough, I can hear my own voice whispering, "Let me in. I forgot my key." Story 3. 2 years ago, 3 friends and I packed up our rifles, a cooler of beer, and the kind of optimism only idiots like us could carry into the desert. We were heading to southeastern Utah, deep into the red dust, to a place known on maps only by a vague mark. No name, just a clearing near Devil's Backbone, where cell signals die and the wind always seems to whisper. The locals, the old-timers at the gas station in Bluff, called it Cursed Land. One old man actually leaned out his booth window when we told him where we were headed and said, "If you hear your name whispered and no one's around, leave." We laughed. Nervously maybe, but we laughed. Mike was the brave one. He'd been in Afghanistan, saw things that made ghost stories seem like campfire jokes. Evan was the skeptic, loud, cocky, the kind of guy who laughed during horror movies. Tyler was the quiet type, always recording stuff on his phone, like he was trying to capture everything before it disappeared. And me? I guess I was just the one who never learned to say no. The first day was uneventful. We shot cans, grilled burgers, drank too much. We were just 4 guys trying to escape the world for a while. The air was clean. The silence felt like a blessing. But that second night, we were sitting by the fire, trading dumb stories, when a scream came. It started low and slow like a groan, but it rose sharply, violently, into a sound that felt like it didn't belong in this world. It wasn't an animal, not a coyote, not even a mountain lion. It sounded broken, like something trying to mimic pain. Mike was on his feet before any of us could react. "Someone's hurt," he said, grabbing a flashlight and running into the dark. We called for him, over and over, our voices swallowed by the trees and the blackness between them. No answer, just that silence again. Not peaceful this time, thick, watching. When dawn crept in, we found his boots beside the creek. That's all, just his boots, neatly placed side by side, as if he'd sat down to take a nap and vanished. We waited all day, searching in shifts, calling until our voices were raw. When night came, we barely spoke, just sat by the fire, jumpy, listening. Then, sometime after midnight, he walked back into camp. But it wasn't him. God, I wish it was. It had his face, same jawline, same army haircut, but its skin was pale and sagging, bloated like something pulled from a lake. It moved stiffly, dragging one foot like it didn't know how knees worked. And its eyes, those weren't Mike's eyes. They were wrong, empty, like holes burned into wet paper. It didn't say anything, just sat by the fire and stared. We tried to speak to it, try not to show we were terrified, but it never answered. It never blinked. It didn't even shiver in the cold. Around 3 a.m., it stood up. I thought maybe it was going to speak. Instead, it dropped to all fours like a damn spider and bolted into the woods fast. Too fast. No man should move like that. We heard branches snapping, trees shaking. Then silence again. Tyler vomited. Evan locked himself in the truck and wouldn't come out. I sat there, shaking, still staring at the spot where it had been. At first light, we packed everything and got the hell out. We filed a missing person report, spoke to police. Left out the crawling thing. Told them Mike vanished during a hike. 3 weeks later, they found his body, 50 miles south, curled up in a shallow ravine, like he'd laid down to sleep. He didn't look decomposed. His skin was still pink, eyes closed, peaceful. The coroner said he died of exposure. That made no sense. We were in triple-digit heat, and Mike was an experienced soldier. But here's what still haunts me. His watch was ticking. The coroner logged the time of death as 2 days after we saw whatever that thing was. So tell me, what walked into our camp wearing Mike's face? What sat by the fire, pretending to be him? And if Mike was already dying or already gone, what the hell did we feed marshmallows next to? There are nights now, quiet ones, long past midnight, when I hear something scratching outside my window. Just soft, just enough. And sometimes, in dreams, I see him. Not Mike. It, dragging its foot, smiling without blinking, waiting for me to come closer. The dead don't run, but the thing that took Mike, it does.